Hey guys, today's story is about a crappy couple that was unfaithful. Howdy doodles! I wanted to share an old horror story to perhaps give people a cathartic chuckle. This happened years ago in a 3-5 campaign, and I have since discovered a lot about myself. The Dungeon Master was a pretty good friend of mine who created really cool, passionate NPCs. And his campaigns accidentally always turned into dating simulators. I enjoyed playing with him because I'm asexual, and I have a lot of childhood sexual trauma that makes it rather difficult to physically participate in sexual activities. As such, roleplays and video games are my way to safely explore sexual intimacy without having a panic attack and crying. I'm non-binary and was playing a female character who was betrayed by everyone that she cared about, and had one friend in the whole world left who she clung to like a lunatic, clinging to the last thread of sanity that they have. The offender was the girlfriend of another player, and the player convinced the DM to let her play after the druid had to leave, due to being deployed in the military. The storyline where things started to get out of hand was when my character slowly began to fall in love with another female NPC. It was the first person that she cared about other than the Centaur party member who was her closest and only friend. Things peaked when, in combat, the NPC was being mind-controlled against the party, and it was my character's turn before the NPC acted, and the NPC could kill the Centaur on her turn. So, forced to choose between sparing her love or saving her one and only friend, my character shot a flaming ray at her lover, crit, and rolled max damage, and erased the NPC from existence. It was an incredibly somber and sad moment, but we got a lot of great roleplay from it. But that's where the offender of the story, who will be referred to as Cleric from here on out, kept butting in. Cleric insisted that my character could come to care for her just as much as she did for the NPC. And through a lot of bulldozing, the Cleric eventually got my character into a relationship with her, and eventually pushed me to start doing ERP with her. The DM had a rule that RP docs outside of the sessions rewarded experience, but only if they were in the public Google Drive. So even after being pushed into it, I felt pretty comfortable that at least I could grind some experience from my character, and everyone else's eyes on the dock made me feel safe. My character was also an aberration pretending to be a humanoid, so she went along with the sexual advances in character, like me, which was fueled by curiosity rather than lust. I didn't know that I was asexual back then. I just assumed that I was unaffected by the bad moments of my childhood. But things kept going further than I should have allowed. Whenever she would do something to cause me to completely shut down or trigger my character, she would beg to be allowed to rewrite the RP reply as, "My character would never do anything to trigger or make Mikana uncomfortable." My first mistake was allowing the rewrites. As such, because of the rewrites, the Cleric was the perfect partner for my character, and didn't have any reason to step away from the relationship. My second mistake was likely leading her on and allowing NSFW scenes. Our characters did the dirty, like, 3 times, and in real life, to me, sex was terrifying and horrible. But I RP'd how I wanted sex to be. Pleasurable, fun, and passionate. Eventually, she started pushing me that I should ask for more from her out of character, and that her boyfriend was sex positive and was cool with her doing whatever that she wanted with her body. We grinded out an entire level above the rest of the party with just how much RP that we did in the documents outside of sessions. And then my third and final mistake was that I acquiesced. And I really regret this part of the story, but I tricked my brain into thinking that it was alright to ask for something like that, and I did ask her to send me a nude, which she did. This somehow put it into her mind that I was now ready for more, and about a week later, she showed up to my house, dressed provocatively, with the intent on doing more. And I closed the door on her and wouldn't let her in, then broke down crying for no reason that I could understand, because of trauma that I didn't know that I had at the time. I tried to keep quiet about it because I felt incredibly embarrassed that I let things get so out of hand, and my friend, the DM, noticed that I was quiet and detached at sessions, and that I stopped role-playing as much in the docks. He pressed me about it, and eventually I pulled him aside and told him what happened. I felt horribly ashamed, and I felt that I led her to that point, but my friend saw it differently and got pissed at her and kicked her out of the campaign that night. He then called the boyfriend a heckin' cuck, and gave him an ultimatum. He could either roll up a new character with no ties to the cleric, because the DM was going to kill off the character, and she was super important to the boyfriend's backstory, or he could just leave the campaign until the girlfriend and him formally apologized to me. He chose to leave. And a week later, we found out that he had been cheating on her for months, and she secretly knew and had planned to use me to do the same. This stuff was wild. Also, quick PS. It turns out that the boyfriend was doing something similar with another female player in the group. She was poly, sexually active, and lightly crushing on him. But she told me that something felt off about it the whole time, and she never pulled the trigger. He was a very funny, charming, and handsome guy, and his girlfriend was intelligent, super strong-willed, and pretty. It was pretty wild that they were subtly and secretly toxic people. Well, to start off with, the DM did actually do a good thing by putting his foot down and giving the boyfriend and girlfriend an ultimatum. However, the public Google Drive filled with ERP docs sounds a little bit weird. Maybe that's just me though. But as for the cleric, I don't know if she had been to or knew where his residence's address was, as maybe they got together as a friend group and had a party or dinner or something. I don't know, I can't really say. But if she tracked him down for that little stunt to just try to get back at her boyfriend, then holy Jesus, she has issues. I think from what has been said in the story, we can make the determination that the boyfriend and the girlfriend are not the best of people. And last thing that I can really think of at the moment is it might be a good idea to not ask for nudes if it's not something that you're particularly interested in. Needless to say. But that's the end of this one. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, have a good one.